Galactic soldier tried to kill a human diplomat. 2 hours later, his entire planet was gone.
Yeah, that title definitely grabs you, doesn't it? Quite the premise.
It really does. So our job here is to dig into this, see what happened, and figure out what we can learn about, well, power, diplomacy.
Yeah.
Maybe not underestimating the quiet ones.
Exactly. It sounds like more than just a sci-fi yarn. It feels like a case study in, I don't know, assumptions and consequences. Let's unpack it.
All right, so let's set the scene. We're on Zarn Prime. There's this big, fancy crystal hall, probably echoes like crazy.
High-stakes diplomacy requires the right backdrop, I suppose.
And we meet General Katak of the Norgi. He's described as 9 feet tall, tusks twitching, basically radiating aggression.
And he has this idea about human diplomats, right? That they're kind of soft, almost like pets.
Yeah, apparently based on some past incident where a Terran ambassador barked at someone, which is just bizarre.
Well, it highlights a key danger, doesn't it? Underestimating someone based on stereotypes or, one weird anecdote. It sets Katak up for a fall.
Definitely. And the crystal hall itself, very grand, very ordered, maybe a bit performative.
That's likely. And then Ambassador Miles Harlan arrives and just completely disrupts that order.
Oh, absolutely. No big entrance, no security guards, just this slightly rumpled guy, wrinkled suit, elbow patches even.
Clutching a notebook.
Right. And he looks kind of lost, apologizing for being late, commenting on the architecture, totally out of sync with General Katak's whole vibe.
It's an immediate contrast.
Yeah.
Katak's projecting power, expecting deference, and Harlan just isn't playing that game.
What do you make of that initial dynamic?
It feels like the real power isn't necessarily in the obvious display. It's in Harlan's ability to just be himself, maybe, to subvert those expectations.
And that comes through immediately with this ceremonial broth incident.
Ah, yes, the broth. Smelling like wet regret, according to Harlan.
Which is quite a description. And then he pulls out a thermos and adds pine needle tea to this sacred Zarn drink.
You can just picture the reaction. The transcript says delegates nearly fainted from the smell.
Katak must have lost it. He accuses Harlan of desecration, which, seems fair from his perspective.
But what is Harlan doing there? Is it deliberate disruption? Is he just eccentric, focused on his tea?
It's hard to tell initially, isn't it? But whatever the reason, it clearly rattles Katak. And this is where it gets interesting.
Because Harlan predicts what Katak's going to do next.
Exactly. He basically says, oh, you're going to demand a consecrated duel of honor now, aren't you? Variant 7, I presume.
Right.
Before Katak even says it.
It shows he's not clueless at all.
Yeah.
He knows the culture, the protocols. He's just choosing not to follow them in the expected way.
So the challenge happens. The red glyphed scroll comes out. It's deadly serious.
But Harlan's reaction is, well, it's weirdly bureaucratic.
Right. Is there a pamphlet? He's asking about the rules, the consequences of refusing, like he's filling out a form.
And the choices are stark. Extinction of policy or personal extinction. Basically, Earth loses face or he dies.
And Harlan just sips his tea, thinks about it, and then goes, okay, I accept. But first, can someone hold my thermos? Might be the last good brew.
The sheer calm of it. It's almost a weapon itself, isn't it? Undermining Katak's whole aggressive posture with total nonchalance.
It's psychological warfare via politeness. And the contrast is just building Katak's strips down to his bone mail.
Ready for ritual combat.
And Harlan's still just standing there in his rumpled suit. It looks like a foregone conclusion.
And Katak attacks immediately. Like lightning, the transcript says.
Harlan goes down. Hard. The Zarn declare victory. Looks like it's over for our unconventional ambassador.
But it's not. He gets up. Bleeding, sure, but composed.
And his first words aren't about being hurt. They're about procedure.
Exactly. He accuses Katak of violating the dual protocol, attacking before the final declaration was complete. He's focusing on the rules again.
It shows he understands where the real leverage might be, even in a situation like this. It's not just about honor, it's about the letter of the law.
And that comes a big reveal.
The notebook. He opens it, there's a blinking red light.
And he calmly states that Katak's attack wasn't part of the duel, it was an unprovoked assault on a recognized diplomat.
Which, under their rules, apparently, means
an act of war. And that little light, it's a beacon, broadcasting everything live to Earth's emergency interstellar command.
Whoa. Okay. The mood in that hall must have just plummeted.
Instantly. Confidence gone. And then things start going wrong physically, right? Lights flickering, gravity acting up.
Yeah, like the whole place is reacting. And then this announcement. Protocol Hades has been activated. Diplomatic class breach recorded. Retaliation in process.
Protocol Hades doesn't sound friendly. And triggered by a diplomatic class breach. What does that tell you?
It sounds pre-planned. Like Earth has contingencies for exactly this kind of thing, a specific severe response. Harlan's line, "You wanted war, now you'll get our version," is just chilling.
And Earth's version of war turns out to be something completely unexpected.
We jump to Earth, deep under Antarctica, this ancient decision room. Director Afia Becky is watching the recording.
And the room itself is described as being built for words that can kill something. Heavy stuff.
It implies a very deliberate, maybe even cold approach to these massive decisions. Harlan's line is archived as Exhibit Genesis. This is a turning point.
And then we meet the three whisperers, advising Director Becky. Each offers a totally different take.
Right. One suggests irony, another quotes Marcus Aurelius' stoicism, maybe, and the third just says, "Wipe the planet and send flowers."
It's a wild range. Shows the complexity, maybe the internal debates within human command. But Becky chooses none of those.
No, she goes for bureaucratic law. The Treaty of Zavos, Clause 13.7, subsection 6, described as the native tongue of galactic control.
That's key, isn't it? Earth isn't just playing the game. They speak the language of galactic power structures. Better, perhaps, than the Zarn realized.
And the decision is precision erasure using this legal loophole. No invasion, no bombs.
Ender Operative Knox. Pale. Unreadable. Calm. His mission.
Deliver a signed document to the wrong desk. The weapon is literally paperwork.
It's an incredible concept. A silent, almost invisible attack, using the system against itself.
Knox travels on a stealth craft, Mercy's shadow, ignores Zarn surveillance, walks right into the governing core.
Presents the document, an AI verifies it, and confirms the retaliation isn't technically Earth-based because of how the treaty is worded.
Which suggests some serious legal maneuvering went into writing that treaty clause in the first place.
Absolutely. Foresight, and then compliance enforcement begins. No drama, just algorithms executing.
And the effect is planet-wide. Systems just stop working.
Lights dim, transport pods fall, orbiting stations disconnect. The sky literally changes color as atmospheric systems fail.
It's chaos, but it's not destruction in the usual sense. It's described as algorithmic mismanagement. The planet is being dismantled from the inside by its own systems.
Chillingly efficient and nonviolent in a very specific, terrifying way.
General Crack, presumably Katak's superior or replacement, is in his war room as it collapses around him. He finally gets it.
And then the final insult. Miles Harlan appears on a screen.
Still calm, drinking tea. And he just lays it out, points out all the ways Crack, or Katak, perhaps means the leadership, violated the Accords, manipulated the law.
It's like a final audit before closure, delivered with that same bureaucratic precision.
Then Knox issues the final command. Seal.
And the planet goes dark, silent, erased, not blown up, just administratively deleted.
The ashes are just the void left behind. And the rest of the galaxy.
Silence. Apologies flooding in. Requests for clarification. Nobody saw this coming. Earth doesn't even respond.
That final scene between Harlan and Knox on the ship back is really something. Harlan seems tired, maybe even a bit shaken by the scale of it.
But Knox is completely flat. "I filed a report." That's his summary of planetary erasure.
Their perspectives are worlds apart. And Knox's final assessment of humanity.
Not violent, not primitive, just deliberate. That lands hard.
And the message Earth receives. A request to reclassify humanity as untouchable observer. They scared everyone straight, using rules.
It completely reframes power, doesn't it? It wasn't about having the biggest ships. It was about understanding the system better than anyone else and being utterly ruthless in applying its rules.
So the takeaway for you, listening, think about the systems you're part of. Work, social structures, whatever. What are the underlying rules, the clauses, the procedures?
Where does the real power lie? Maybe it's not always where you expect. And what does it really mean to be deliberate, truly deliberate in your actions and their consequences?
Something to chew on. This was a fascinating deep dive. Thanks for digging in with me.
Absolutely. A really thought-provoking scenario.